control.
Hello everyone, welcome back. I am Mustard's human employee here with another interview. Today I have the pleasure of being joined with...
Hi, I'm Noah Pinango.
Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Doing great. That's good to hear. Good to hear. Thank you for joining us over here at Music Shelf. So before we jump in, you told us you're doing great. What was your start in music like?
Okay, so my earliest like stuff with music was with my family. I got introduced to a lot of my parents are Venezuelan, so that was a lot of Latino music, but also because they moved to the States a few 20 years before I was born, they also got that experience with a lot of like bands here in the United States. So Supertramp, obviously the Beatles, stuff from the 80s and 90s, and of course the Beatles from when they lived in Venezuela, because it was still massively popular there. So that's where I think I got my popular music connections, but I also did classical piano, and I still do it now for about 12 years. That's my first instrument, yeah.
Oh, awesome. And then is that something that your parents wanted you to do, or you just took an interest in the piano?
Well, with my mom's side of the family, it's kind of a rule to just start with an instrument, have a instrument. It doesn't matter if you follow through with it, or and like you don't have to have a career with it, although a lot of them are very very successful musicians. It's more just have that discipline, and so of the practice. And so I went in and I chose an instrument. We went to this music school. I chose an instrument to have lessons, and I chose the piano.
Oh, that's awesome. And then you said the Beatles were big in your household. Do you have a favorite Beatles record or song?
Yellow Submarine.
Yellow Submarine. Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic. And then did the Venezuelan culture, did that also play an influence in the music as well? Like, how does the culture help with your musical influences?
I think I owe a lot to Venezuelan music for my sense of rhythm. Really, it's because I'm not much of a dancer, but I do still I've seen my parents, my family dance. I've listened to all that music. I've been there sitting, listening, really becoming in tune with the music. And so that's just really been a lot of what I am able to discern as, okay, this is the sound that I want in the terms of percussion.
That's awesome. And then, so you've been doing this, you started playing the piano. When did you first begin, starting producing and writing and going into if we were to hop onto Spotify or Apple Music and listen to your stuff? When did that all kind of start?
I think at this point it's 3 or 4 years now that it started. Okay. It actually started with I'd been taking lessons and stuff like that, online lessons for production, but I didn't really do anything with it. It was very, very casual. And to one point where there's this unreleased song by Joji that I really loved, and I was like, okay, it's like a 5-note melody. I can probably record it on GarageBand on my phone, and I could try to remake it. And I did. It wasn't the best, but I worked with another friend who was also a musician, and we worked together, and that became my first song that I publicized on YouTube.
Oh, that's awesome. Mustard and I were doing some research, and we saw your playlist on Spotify, your inspiration playlist, and we saw that Joji is everywhere on there. So how has Joji influenced you? What about them sticks out and makes them special to you?
Yeah, he has been he was one of the more central artists that when I really started developing my own music tastes, that's who I gravitated to. Obviously, he was like very popular, not as Joji in middle school for me. So I latched on to that kind of immature humor. And then when I went into high school, he transitioned. So I was following that transition and really got into that darker, sadder music, which is a lot of what I do now, really.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Joji have like this YouTube channel or something? I'm forgetting the name of it. Where you said like the image, Filthy Frank. That's it. I was like, I'm pretty sure he did something before transitioning to Joji. So you're doing the more sadder, darker music. How long before or after your music did NSNE, the New Soul, New Energy? Because you're a co-founder of that, right? Could you tell us more about that?
That was it started. That's been the idea has been around for a while. I've had it in the back of my brain. I think I sent out a tweet like maybe a year and a half ago, and it's like a friend and I responded, but that went nowhere. So like it went back onto the shelves until finally, like a closer friend to mine, Sushmi, the other co-founder, we got together and we figured out, okay, let's actually do this. Let's actually do music together because we've wanted to. We have the capabilities of it now. Why not fully take advantage of it? And I think that was last summer, in which we went to a program in Atlanta. So we had a whole month to ourselves to really make a ton of music, and that's where our first single came out from. That's also where we met our guitarist, Brooklyn. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. And then do you have any plans this year for NSNE, or are you going to focus more on your solo stuff this year?
I'm making it a goal right now to, I think Sushbi is as well, to have an established solo like music set. So I have my trilogy of EPs that will be concluding this year, hopefully. And they'll be we'll start more starting because they have less release music out now, but they'll be releasing projects as well before we solidify our own little audiences before really coming together and creating something new. So to have two different sounds that we blend together.
Awesome. And then speaking of your EPs, I guess we should jump on that and talk about that. So the first one that you released was called SNDBOX 001. Could you share more about that project?
That was a whirlwind because that took me a long, long time to make, same as the second one. That was mainly due because a lot of that project was also me learning how to use the new production software that I got. I'd switched to Ableton, not that before it, and I think my first single was maybe like the third or fourth song that I made on Ableton. So that a lot of that, and what has been like a recurring ideology for these projects, is making something like just experimenting and growing from that. So 001, that more than anything, it was a deep just like dive into learning how to make, and then that's what I had at the end.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And then I take it that's kind of why it's called Sandbox. It allows you to experiment and try out new things.
Exactly.
And then the second EP, which you just released, which we'll talk about, is called LUCYLUNA. Mustard and I were wondering, are LUCYLUNA actual people that you know?
So, it's not based. The name isn't based on anyone. It was more. I had this screenplay that released with 001 that I wrote, that the idea was I was going to write 3 installments of it.
Okay.
That more or less fell through, but the idea is that the Lucy character is supposed to be an extension of the character that was written in 001, which if you treat the track list as like as like a flowing story.
Mhm.
We see this character who falls out of a relationship, who loses themselves in like in a party scene, for example. I don't treat it as literal like that, and then ultimately they ultimately lose themselves.
Okay.
Resurging from that is Lucy, who becomes this villain in their own mind
Mhm.
because they've lost. They just shut off. They shut off their brain and become this darker path, and that was always the intention for the second project, for it to be darker, for it to be sadder, for it to be more open than anything, and really honest.
That's really cool. And then you said you had it envisioned as a screenplay, or your screenplays going along with it. I know that your student over at UConn was the screenplay, and then also shout out to Connecticut, because Mustard and I are originally from Connecticut, so I think that's pretty cool. But was this like the idea? Was it like a prompt that you had to do for a class, or just something that you wanted to do just to go along with the projects?
It was really a creative choice of the moment. I was like, I can do it. I can write. I'm sure I can, and I did. It's a 22 page one. I think I took it off from everything. I'm sure it's somewhere, but it was like I want to be a multi hyphenate. Obviously, I wanted to do as many things as I can, and while the project was being mixed, I was like, okay, I'm waiting for that just to be done. Let me write this out, and it took me, I think, about 3 months with editing and everything.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And then you said you wanted to be like a multi-hyphen, and we also saw on your playlist like Tyler, the Creator, and Childish Gambino. Do you get inspiration from them as well?
Yes, those are artists that I listen to every day. Really, like, it's that level of soul music, or it was more psychedelia that Childish Gambino reaches in "Awaken My Love." That is such an inspiration for me, for what I create, for what like I aspire to be. And Tyler really shows, like, he really leaves out in the open that growth as an artist, production wise, lyrically, everything. And that's exactly what I am seeing for myself firsthand. And I grab so much creativity from what they do.
Yeah, that's great, because I remember when Yonkers first came out, Mustard and I were like, "Oh, this is the horrorcore aspect of it." But Tyler, I think, has definitely grown and evolved from that. And you were talking about Gambino's "Awaken My Love." At the time, it was like like the track was controversial. What are your thoughts on California from that album? Because I know some people love it, some people hate it, some humans hate it.
I don't listen to it that frequently, but I'm not gonna say it's a bad track. I think he was really pushing the experimentation there, and I don't think it was a bad choice. I think the voice at that time was something that was unheard of, but is way more present now in terms of the harnessing of autotune with I think Lil Yachty, Playboi Carti, voices like that, like really sharp, shrill voices that like are very popular now and are very embraced. So I think if people really went back to California, I think they'd really enjoy it.
Yeah, it definitely fit in more with the climate at the moment, because Little Yachty's new album is very much like that too, with the trill. So back to your second EP. So you said you wanted to be darker, and you're writing the screenplay to go along with it. Would you consider the second EP, LUCYLUNA '02, to be like the climax of the story, or are you still working towards the climax before the eventual resolution?
I think and largely I've I've kind of left the storyline in terms of leaving it to be more metaphorical than anything. Really, if you want to take all of the tracks as a continuation of the story, that you build it yourself. I found that focusing so much on the screenplay really took away from like the larger meanings of the songs as a whole, because I didn't write them with the screenplay in mind, and so I was just kind of locking them down with the screenplay to have the specific meaning when it could be larger than that. So I think we'll still with the climax. I think I have one more project. The one more project has an actual resolution to this story, this arc, this something that can really like resolve into something happier. This doesn't end at the bottom of the pit. There's somewhere else to go.
That's awesome. So you're working towards that, which is really cool. And then you mentioned like multiple EPs. Is this EP the EPs that you're doing now? Are they a part of a trilogy, or are there going to be more EPs that follow afterwards, or an album? How are you doing all that?
Yeah. So this is like this trilogy. This like 001, 002, and 003 is going to be a trilogy that's going to be like my main focus. That's my main focus for like the first part of everything, and then I think I'm using it as a real stepping stool to really jumpstart an audience without throwing something with too much commitment at them. Like an album is way too much commitment for someone with no audience, or even like a mixtape. It's you'd have to really push it way harder, and it's time and effort that I don't think will be well received by anybody else.
Yeah, that's true, and especially with the landscape of how everything is now. We saw that you're on TikTok as well, and we saw something about like you want into like try to remember this exactly, like taking out like less trash on TikTok is like in your bio on there. I think.
Yes. I hate TikTok's compression system. They have the system where you upload your own audios. If it's not properly mixed to their standards, I'm uploading like through DistroKid to Spotify. It's the same track that I upload from Spotify to that goes to sorry, I'm forgetting the term, TikTok. And it sounds horrible every time I upload anything, and I don't know how to deal with it besides turning down the track. And it's because of TikTok's compression system. I don't know how to get around it. I'm sure there is some resolve there, but like Spotify does a compression system that is completely fine. It is completely tolerable, and if they adopt I think TikTok's compression system really is overkill. So I think if they brought it back a little bit to make especially independent artists who aren't doing what I'm sure some people in the music industry are doing, which is remixing or remastering the tracks to be at a TikTok level for compression. That's too much time. That's too much effort that we don't have. There's other things that have more priority, but at least to make this easier, I think would be way nicer.
That's true. And TikTok is a great platform for independent artists such as yourself to get that exposure, to build that base. What are your thoughts on like the trends? And because Mustard and I have observed, because this whole music website originally started on TikTok. We're like a novelty TikTok account. But do you think TikTok will eventually like change the compressions to be more in favor of independent musicians like yourself, or they're just going to be like, I
know they've been making changes to support musicians as a whole on the platform by featuring their music directly on their profile. And I think that's lovely. So maybe they might change the compression system. Maybe they'll, I don't know if anybody else has the problem. Maybe it's just exclusively me. I don't know. But I know that they realize how big music has gotten on TikTok, and I I think that they can reformat the platform a little bit more to really fit that focus, because it's a massive audience every single day, and it would be such a great opportunity to have full access to that.
That's true. Hopefully they do something with that so it's more beneficial for independent artists like yourself. Because Mustard, we've noticed that a lot of the industry is like, if something happens on TikTok, we got to go with it. People are being signed because of what they're doing on TikTok. But what are your thoughts on the platform overall besides the compression system?
I've been on that since I think right before the main surge of everybody was on TikTok. I think 2017, 2018. I don't know when they acquired Musical.ly, but I think I was like right after that.
Right after that.
And I've seen it grow, and it's addictive, and I'm at the point where I don't care, because it is so much of my brand. It is so much of something that I need to embrace. And honestly, so much of this job, this sounds trashy because it's me watching TikToks on my phone, but it's research. Really, it's research. You're looking at the trends. You're looking at what is popular, what isn't, and it works. It's as informal as it is. I'm sure it's something that's benefiting me for my music and my brand ultimately.
No, and I don't think you're alone with that too. Because I was going to say, Mustard and we use TikTok for research purposes as well, to learn more about our guests and everything. But it's true though, you're seeing the trends of everything that's going on and what people are doing and finding ways to make it work for you, for your brand. Do you plan on expanding the brand or using like Instagram and Twitter and having it be intertwined, or is that something you're already doing?
Well, I really started out on Instagram more than anything. That's where I get a lot. That's where I have a lot of my followers, but that's mainly that was my old personal account. I treat it as a joint thing, and I am on Twitter spewing nonsense that nobody really needs to hear. But I use all of them. I'm focused on all of them. I use whatever platform is accessible to me, because I know that I need to be on as many as I can to really try to reach as many. Except Facebook. I don't trust Facebook. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, no, Mustard, we're not big on Facebook either. Yeah, no, that's a whole nother conversation too. Facebook. So I'm trying to think. Mustard and I had a question about your song "Drive Through Killer." As an employee of a condiment, Mustard was wondering, what do you like to get from the drive-through?
Man, I try to be the best vegetarian I can be, so I will stick to fries and a drink. I'll stick to fries and a drink. I don't know. I don't like Burger King's Impossible Burger. I know I've had other brands and I prefer other brands more than I just don't. I don't approve of that at Burger King.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense, because Mustard and I, we were pretty much vegetarian. We try to eat as healthy as possible, too. But yeah, their Impossible Whopper is a little weird because it still has all the stuff from the Whopper on. Yeah, yeah, I can see what you're getting at with it being from Burger King of all places. So LUCYLUNA 02 came out. Where can everybody listen to that?
It's on all platforms, quite literally wherever. I'm on some random Indian platform that only works in India, but I'm there. So all platforms: Apple Music, Spotify, I think SoundCloud, everything, YouTube, of course.
Awesome. And Mustard and I will go ahead, and for those watching this, the links to your albums are in the description below, so make sure you go listen to those after. Pause this video if you want, go listen to them, finish it. And then Mustard and I were also wanted to know, what's next for you? What's coming up?
Oof. I think right now it's time for me to get back into shows. I think that's what's time for. Because I want to show everybody what I'm here to do, what I'm capable of with this new music.
We hope that you're able to get those shows. And then, do you have any last words at all before we go? Any last hype for LUCYLUNA 2 or SNDBOX?
Wow, that's this is like my passion. This is everything. So all that I'm feeling is in those songs, and they mean the world to me. So I hope that when you listen to them, you can hear that, and that they can mean something to you too.
Awesome. Well, everybody watching this, stop the video, pause it, and go listen to all of your discography right now. It's in the description below. Try to make it as easy as possible for everybody, but we thank you so much for joining us and for being here. And before we go, how's the weather in Connecticut at the moment?
Oh, it's not bad. Last weekend it was horrible, so I'm not complaining now.
That's good. That's good. We missed the weather and just Connecticut in general. So no, that's awesome. Well, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. We are so grateful and appreciative of you joining us. And everybody, go listen right now to LUCYLUNA 02 with whatever platform that you use it on.
Thank you.
All right.
I don't want it. I want to lose control.